Hello, how are you children? Krishna ma'am back again. Today we will learn from a book Hornbill, chapter number 4, and the name of the chapter is Landscape of the Soul. Now, this chapter is written by Nathalie Trevorroy. Nathalie Trevorroy, she was an archaeologist and art historian, and she was the wife of Argentinian ambassador in India. And this chapter is an excerpt from her book Landscape of the Soul, Ethics and Spirituality in Chinese Painting. When you go through the book, it might look a bit typical to you. Maybe to some of you it will seem to be difficult because it's a bit philosophical, but once you read it, I'm sure it will be easy for you because you have to go deep inside the chapter to understand it. You have to visualize it. Now, this book is about art, and in this chapter, Nathalie, she has compared Western art and Eastern art, the difference between two. Because what is an art? When we talk about art, there's visual art, there's applied art, and what is this visual art? This art, sketches, painting, what we see through our eyes, which we make, all this is visual art. Then applied art, fashion designing, architecture, making buildings and all that, interior designing, that is applied art. And another one is performing art. Performing art, all of you must be aware of that. That is singing songs, drama, dance, means where we express ourselves by performing something, that is performing art. So whatever form of art it is, okay, we feel it. So once we feel the art, we go deep inside that, whatever form of art it is, okay. When we go for it, when we feel for it, that is the soul. We give our soul, right? That is the landscape of the soul. So here, the narrator, she has talked only about the visual form of art, that is landscape or painting, and she differentiates about the Western painting and Eastern painting. So in this chapter, I will just divide it into 4 parts. And what are those 4 parts? First one is about the stories related to Asian and Western painting, and this is shown by 2 or 3 small stories. Okay. Second thing which we are going to learn in this lesson is the differences between Asian and Western paintings. And the third one is the concept of Shen Shui. Now, what is this Shen Shui? We will cover that in the second video. Now, the fourth thing which we are going to learn will be the concept of outsider art. So, these two we will cover in the first video, and in my second video I will cover the concept of Shen Shui and the outsider art. Now, there are some typical words, some difficult words I shouldn't say, some specific words which are used in this chapter. So I will explain that to you as and when it comes in the chapter. Now, let's start with the chapter. Okay, starting with a small story which was of 8th century in China. In the 8th century of China, in Tang dynasty, there was an emperor, Xuanzong. Okay, this emperor, once he asked a famous painter of his dynasty, Hu Daozi, to make a painting to adorn his palace wall. So he asked him to decorate it, to make a painting for that. The painter, he made the painting. And while he was doing the painting, he used to cover it. He used to cover it so nobody else could see it until it was finished. And when it was finished, he wanted only and only the emperor to see the painting. So he invited the emperor. In the book, it has been written, "Look, sire." Now, what is sire? Sire means king. So he says, "Look, your majesty, come and have a look at the painting. This is finished now." When the emperor came to look at the painting, he was mesmerized to see that. Because the painting was so beautiful. Everything was there. The beautiful mountains, the clouds, birds flying in the sky, forests, all the greeneries, flora and fauna, river, everything was there. Everything which a landscape, a beautiful scenery could have. Everything was there. So while he was lost in scenery, the painter told that, "Your Majesty, can you see a cave just beneath the mountain? And that cave, a spirit lives there. Come, let's go into the cave. It's very beautiful inside that. Let's have a look there." So the painter, he clapped his hand, and as he clapped his hand, the door of the cave, which was beneath the mountain, it opened. And as it opened, the painter went inside the cave. Inside was so magnificent. But as the king stepped forward to follow the painter, the door was closed. The door of the cave was closed, and surprisingly, the painting also disappeared from the wall. And from that day onwards, nobody ever heard, nobody ever saw Hudauzi again. He disappeared along with his painting. So children, what does the disappearance of the painting and disappearance of the painter show here? Okay, when we go in the piece of some literature, some art, any form of art, okay, we go deep inside that. Our soul, our feeling, okay, go inside that. And once we are lost, once we find the inner beauty of something, the inside of something, then the outside world, it holds no significance, no meaning for us. So you must have seen those doing the meditation. Once they are lost in the inner world, once they explore the spirituality of something, the outside world is totally void for them. It holds no meaning. So that might be the significance of the painter and the painting getting lost. Because for the king, here it says the king might rule over his kingdom. The kingdom he has one, but he can rule over the people, he can rule over the kingdom, but he cannot rule over the inner world, because only the artist has a way to that. Okay, now let's come to the second paragraph. The narrator has written that Confucius and Zhuangzi, okay, they are the famous philosopher. So they have written books. In ancient China, they had written books which help the educators in training their disciples, in showing them the right path, in making them understand the inner thing, okay, the inner part of something, the spirit of something, the soul of something, through small anecdotes, through small stories written by Confucius and Zhuangzi. Okay. So, contrasting this story, there is one more small incident of a Chinese painter who made a dragon. The dragon was so beautiful, but he did not draw the eyes. He did not make the eyes. So when people ask, why didn't you draw the eyes? Then he told that, I'm afraid that once I put eyes into this painting, the dragon would fly away. So that was because he was so much involved in that piece of art. So this is Eastern art. Now let's come to the Western art. As I told you, the narrator, the writer Nathalie, okay, she was from Belgium. Okay. Actually, she was not born in Belgium, but she got married in Belgium. So she had more influence from that country. And that's why she has written here that from my native Flanders, okay, that's a place in Belgium. Okay, in 15th century in Belgium, there was a place, Antwerp, there's the Portal City of Belgium. Okay, and this incident, this small anecdote is from Antwerp, 15th century. There was a blacksmith named Quentin Metzes. Quentin Metzes, he was a blacksmith, and he was in love with the daughter of a famous painter. Now the painter didn't agree to accept him as a son-in-law because he told that I'm a famous painter and this was such a low profession, blacksmith. How can I give my daughter's hands to him? So he felt a bit low. Once the painter was not there, he went inside the studio, and on the latest painting, the painter was making, Quentin sketched, he painted a small fly. He painted a small fly and went out. Now when the painter came into his studio, he saw a fly sitting on the painting. He tried to swat the fly away. He tried to hit it. How come a fly is sitting on my painting? But then he realized, oh, this is just painting. This is not a real fly. He was so impressed. He was so impressed that he took Quentin as his apprentice, and after some time, he had him married to his daughter. So this is the second example. Now, let's come to the book. When he made a fly, okay, he made with such a delicate realism that the master tried to swat it away. Now, delicate realism. Now, what is that? Delicate realism means the work was such fine that it seems to be real. Okay. The second word used here is illusionistic likeness. Okay. Now, what is this? Illusionistic likeness means visionary deception. This word has been used for the Western painting when he made a fly. When Quentin, he made a fly on the panel. Okay. That piece, that drawing was so deceiving to the eyes that he took him to be a real fly. So that was the word illusionistic likeness, means we have an illusion. We are deceived whether the thing is real or whether it is a piece of art. Okay. Now, let's come to the next para in Chinese story. Okay. Let me show the way, the Da word that means both paths. Okay. Now, with these two examples, with these two small anecdotes, Nathalie, she has tried to draw out the difference between Eastern painting and Western painting. Okay, I'm not just telling Chinese painting, because all the paintings in Asia, in the Eastern part, everything is influenced by our tradition and culture. All of you must be art lover. If you look into our Indian painting also, there's a variety influenced by each and every region of the country. And same thing applies with performing art also. We have different form of dance, and each dance form, each song form, each music form, we have different raga also. All of these relate to different things, okay? So we get afloat by it. So means it is a kind of spiritual thing. It relates all the spiritual things. So let's come to see the difference. In the Western painting, first of all, it achieves illusionistic likeness, as we have seen in the fly made by Quentin. Okay, that it looked like a real fly. Children once, okay, in Western painting, in West, when they paint something, they try to make duplicate of something which is existing in real. When they make a landscape, okay, they'll go to some hillside, they'll go to some riverside somewhere, and they will sketch the same thing, they will paint the same thing, and they will try to make it look like real. And the painting they will make, anything they will make, it will resemble to something which is in real somewhere there. Okay, but in Eastern art, in Eastern painting, they try to achieve inner life and space. Okay, like Hudauzi, when he was assigned to make landscape, he went outside and he just saw the beauty of the place. He felt the beauty and he tried to paint, relating everything which was felt from his heart. It was not the real view, it was not the real landscape existing somewhere in that kingdom or anywhere, but it was something felt from his heart, it was something of his imagination. Okay, now in the Western painting, second thing, they reproduce actual view, but in Eastern painting, they produce view based on the beauty they feel. Okay, when the painter paints something in the West, they use their eyes to see, and they want the viewer to see from their eyes as they have seen it. But in Eastern painting, they want us to enter their mind, means they want us to imagine, they want us to use the same imagination, they want us to think what the painter might have thought that time. Okay, so in the Western painting, we have to see it from specific angle because it is limited. We cannot use our own imagination. The thing is there, so we have to see it as it is. So that is a singular entry. Okay, but in Asian painting, in Eastern painting, or in Chinese painting as written here, okay, we can see from various angles. So we call it plural entry. Now in Western painting, we have to see it through the painter's eyes. Just now, as I told you, like I see the thing as it is. So if I make the painting of that thing, the viewers, the onlookers will see that thing as I saw it. Now, but in Eastern, you have to understand the painter's mind. Whatever the painting is there, now whatever the painter has made, you have to understand what was going in his or her mind, what is he or she trying to relate there. So we have to go in the mind of the painter. Now the last one here. One can travel fast. Why we can travel fast in the painting is there. You can just see it. Okay, once we see it, we understand what is this. So this is fast travel into the painting. But in Eastern painting, we have to walk slowly to understand it. Okay, we have to ponder inside the painting to understand it section by section. So it will keep on unscrolling slowly and slowly. So it's time taking. Fine. So the Chinese painting is based on Taoism. Now what is Taoism? The word Tao means path or the way into the mystery of the universe. So that is the word Taoism has been used here to illustrate the Chinese form of painting, because in that landscape we have to use the inner path, the spirit. We have to understand the spirit of the painting. We have to understand the spirit of the world. So the landscape here can be used for life also, because the life also, we say this is an art. So for most of the people, why I say most of the people? Because this is true. For most of the people, the life, this art, this piece of art which we call life, is materialistic. Whatever we see, okay, this is a chair, this is a table, okay, this is a tree, this is my house, this is my cousin, this, that, okay, this is materialistic. So for most of the people, for general people, this life is only based on what we see, material. But for those who has reached, who have understood the life, okay, for them, they understand the mystery, they understand the spirit, they know the spirit of the living, they know the art of it. So that is the real art. So children, with this I will give a break to the video today, and tomorrow, not tomorrow but in the next video, I will explain you about the Feng Shui, that is here, Taoism. Okay, I'll explain you about the Feng Shui concept, and I'll explain you about the outsider art. So with the video today, I'd like to take a break. Have a very nice time. See you again.